Welcome everybody. My name is Erik. Let me introduce myself very, very briefly. I'm from the Netherlands. Been in Ireland for a year and a half. Fun fact, Holland, the Netherlands, commonly known by these two names, is half the size of Ireland. We are 18 million people there, so it's pretty densely populated. And I have a background in sales predominantly. I'm an engineer by training. So since the beginning of this year, I've been taking over from the almost famous person, I might say, Vincent Kelly. So Vincent Kelly has been doing the webinars for about 4 years. Very trusted face. Throughout the year, I'm going to be covering the webinars with you. Tonight, we're going to be talking about confidence, how to achieve true confidence. And what I want to share with you is 3 specific factors that can undermine one's confidence, and then see how we can resolve that. So first of all, let's do a little interaction between one another. Just bear with me. Like I said, I'm Dutch. I might sometimes stumble a bit over my broken English. I hope you don't mind. But I'm very curious, guys, where you are from. I've seen a couple of names already. I'm just glancing here at my laptop. I see a couple of names that I'm familiar with. I think these guys actually showed up in the past. Let me have a quick look, and maybe in the meantime, you want to share with me where you're coming from and what motivated you to attend this webinar tonight. I see that we have Esther Aboudrin. If I'm correct, I think we had a little chat on WhatsApp. Is that correct, Esther? Then Cassie Stevens, I don't think we met. All right, there's Case, welcome. We have Edith, fantastic. Welcome, Edith. Drop me in the chat where you're from. Then let's see, who else is there? Catriona, I think Catriona we've met already on the phone. Margaret, welcome. Sharon, Rohit, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Nice to have you on the screen. Then we have Angela, welcome. Dolores Conroy, I think we met. Tepan Jakatia, that's a beautiful name. Welcome. Okay, so Edith, you're from Dublin. That's fantastic. All right. Let's see who else do we have here. Esther, yes. Margaret from Cork. Okay. Like I said, been a year and a half in Ireland, but I've been to Cork already twice. Beautiful city. Okay. All right. Cassie, also from Cork. Yeah, same. Fantastic. Just reminds me of an agriculture show that was going on near Cork. Visiting that and having pizza in the shopping street later on, basically the street where you have all the restaurants, just nearby the river. Okay, let's see who else we have in here. Esther Lakesip, I suppose that's from the UK. Yeah, Victor, we met last week. Okay, good. Fantastic, guys. Thank you very much for participating. Makes me happy. Good. So we're going to talk about confidence. Now, what I don't see in your chat specifically is the reason why you were attending this webinar. You can still do if you want to. I'm still curious why you wanted to be here tonight. In the meantime, I'm going to get started. And the first thing that we're going to do is a little mind drill, a little drill to, let's say, warm up. Yeah. Now, what do I mean by a mind drill? I just want to show out a little bit how the mind works, how it has an effect on the body, and for example, what negative thoughts do. Because as you can imagine, negative thoughts have a lot to do with confidence. So we're going to get started with the first exercise. And there's nothing really required because it's a memory exercise. So here's my question. And that is, do you remember primary school? Do you remember primary school? Do you remember, for example, the playground and the courtyard? And if you do, you may have a picture. You could probably see the the dimensions of that playground. You might be able to see the tiles on the floor, or maybe it was sand. And you might be able to see the fencing around the playground. You may also be able to see the entrance and the exit. Yeah, so you're looking at something here which is not really tangible. You can't really measure it. You can't really feel it. But there's definitely something there that you can perceive. So how do we call that? I'm going to wipe out something. Just bear with me for a sec. So that's called a mental image. Okay, so as you can see, that mental image basically has got dimensions. It's got colors. You may actually be able to recall a moment in time when you were there, which is to say a particular day, a particular hour, a particular position of the sun or temperature. So it holds a lot of perceptions. Now, let's do the next drill. And for this one, what I need you to do is I need you to use your index finger and really point to the objects that I'm going to be asking for, which are in the room. So first of all, the drill here is that we're going to imagine being in our favorite chair in the living room at our parents' place. You probably have to go back a couple of years, maybe even a couple of decades. So, and maybe you had a particular chair where you would used to sit. Maybe you would rotate and be in different chairs. If that's the case, just pick any chair. Yeah? Let's pick any chair and imagine right now that you are in that chair back at the time in your parents' house in the living room. Okay. Now, here's the funny thing, and you really got to do what I just said. You got to use your index finger and point out the objects. So here's the first object. What I want you to do is from where you're sitting, point towards a window in that room. So for me, if I recall, I had a window on my right. So for you, from where you're sitting, just point towards a window in that room. Physically point it out. If you've done so, now let's find a TV and point from where you're sitting, point towards the TV. And now answer the question for yourself. How far is that TV set distant from you? Is it a meter? Is it 2 meters? Is it a couple of meters? Or if you're more accustomed to feet, how many feet would it be away from you? Okay, you have that? Very good. Now, let's find another object. Let's find a table in the room. So from where you're sitting, just point toward a table in the room. You may have gotten a picture again. Maybe you've seen just a glimpse of the size of the table, the dimension, the surface, the shape of it, maybe the number of legs, right? And just again, how much of a distance would that be away from you? Good. The final one, let's find a door. Let's find a door in that room from where you're sitting. Just excuse me for a second. That was my heater. From where you're sitting, point towards the door. In my case, the living room where I would go back to had actually 3 doors. I had one behind me, about 5 meters away. I had one like 3 meters away that side. I had one like 5 meters away over there. It was a pretty big room. Okay, so I think you got that all right now, right? So what's happening here? We're actually looking at a mental image. It happens to be three-dimensional, as you can see. So it pops up, all these objects, they pop up around you. You're pointing about you, right? Now, we have been taught with all these psychology books, for example, that all the memories are in the brain. But what's happening here? You didn't say, well, the TV is over there, the door is over here, the window is over there, the table is up there. You didn't point inside of your brain, did you? You pointed about you. So for that reason, it's not called a physical image. It's not a chemical image. It is a mental image. It's a mental experience. Now, so we can see all these objects around you. That means you recreate that space, that same space that you have observed before. You recreate it again in your mind about you. Yeah? That's a mental image picture. As you go through life, you make a whole bunch of those pictures. And your whole existence is over there. It's kind of amazing. So now, just as a quick question, as an interaction with you guys, I suppose it wasn't really stressful to look at that, right? It didn't really cause any discomfort to re-inspect the courtyard, to be in the living room again. That didn't cause any discomfort or stress. Am I correct? Yeah? Now, how do we use this mind? Yeah, let's make a very, very practical example. Let's say you come home and you drop your keys somewhere. Now you go to work, you go to another story, you sit behind your desk, you do some computer work, you check your watch and go like, hey, it's time for me to go. And you fill your pockets and say, oh, damn, where's my keys? So if you're living in a big house, would you go about and check all the rooms for your keys? Would you do that? Or would you use your mind? So most likely, you're not going to go about and check all the different rooms. What you will do is you're going to see, hey, what did I do when I arrived home and where did I drop my keys? So you're going to get that picture again, and that picture tells you, you put your keys, let's say over there at a cabinet. You have the picture again, you run down, you walk straight to the cabinet, and what do you know? You found your keys. Yeah? That's how you actually use your mind on a day-to-day basis. Now, so if that didn't cause you any stress, if that didn't cause you any discomfort, then what about negative thoughts? Right? Because your negative thoughts, that has a definite impact on your confidence. Okay, so I have a question right away for you. And that is, have you ever gone to let's say, a job interview? Or did you ever have to do a presentation or a talk in front of a group of people? And it got you nervous. It made you feel very, very uncomfortable, right? Like a presentation or a talk in front of a group of people or a job interview, anything of sorts. So let me know in the chat if you felt some kind of discomfort or nervousness. Yeah, to have this little bit of an interaction again, see what is happening. Just do pop something in the chat, and let's say what will happen to you if you go to a job interview. What will happen to you if you have to do a presentation? Is it that you're going to get a dry throat? Do you tend to forget what you wanted to say or ask? Or knees shaking. Let me have a little scroll here, see what happens. Actually, I see that I'm a little bit behind. There's a very, very little section here that gives the communications from you guys. Okay, good. I'm learning something. Thank you very much. Okay, it's great. Okay, so Margaret says, yes, pain in the stomach, dry throat, etc. Thank you, Margaret. Esther says, yeah, it makes me nervous. All right. Catriona, butterflies, stutter. All right. Thank you, Catriona. Okay, Edith. Yes, I did feel nervous. Okay, thank you, Edith. Let's see what else. Rohit, forget things, go blank. All right. Victor, hot, nervous. Yeah, I suppose hot is in sweaty, right? Starts to transpire. Okay. Case, presentation when I was at school. I felt bad. I wanted to leave. Yeah, I totally get that. That is something. Okay, let's see what else do we have here. Kasi, I might look like I don't know what I'm talking about. Inconsistent speech. Okay, so confusion. Wow, all right. Yeah, so there's a lot that happens to you in such a moment, right? So in other words, what is really happening here? What is happening, guys? There is definitely something there that seems to control you, right? There is something there that controls your body. It makes your legs shake, right? It gives you this dry throat. That even controls your mind. You don't have your thoughts clearly anymore, right? I remember the first time that I had to do a presentation. I said, gosh, I could drink a whole liter of water and it's still dry. What's happening? It's something weird going on. Okay, now, but there's something there that controls you and you don't control it, correct? Right? So, in other words, I could also ask you this question. So you get this dry throat, you get shaky legs, you don't know what to say, you feel shy, you want to go away, you feel horrified, you feel bad. Any of these answers. Do you want that to happen? I mean, do you want that to happen? Obviously, the answer is no. All right? So why does it happen if you don't want that to happen? It doesn't make any sense, right? Because what causes it is basically part of you. It's part of you that makes that happen. So I did a webinar last week on how to make good choices. A lot of people liked it. And last week I used the same book, which is called A New Slant on Life, written by L. Ron Hubbard. And so tonight, the idea was to cover, if I have the time, to cover 3 chapters of it. Yeah, 3 different snippets of chapters. Last week, we only did 1 out of this book. This book has got like 15 different tools, like as a toolbox, different tools for life. Now, there's a chapter here that says, raising our level of consciousness. Okay? Now, so what happens? Let me turn the page so I have a little bit of a track where I am. So there's a part of the mind that stores pain and loss. So you probably know what I'm talking about. If you ever had a pet, like a pet dog or a pet cat, and you got the news that that pet had just died, that was some pretty horrifying news for you. And it probably made you cry, right? So that is a severe loss. Maybe you have lost people that were really close to you, that you were really attached to. And so if you lost such a person, maybe a partner, maybe an ex-partner, an ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, right? family member, whoever. When you lost that person, that was painful. It was emotionally painful. So in your mind, you can find real pain, physical pain. You can also find emotional pain. And some of those memories, some of those pictures actually contain that pain. So you may see that, for example, if you recall a moment of a loss, you might get tears again. You might feel grief again. It's a funny exercise that you can do with people to make them remember a blood test. And just make them remember the first moment that they felt the needle. And in many cases, many people will tell you that they feel that sensation again in their vein. They feel that ticklish sensation again, as if the needle is going in right now. Some people, you can ask them to remember such a moment, and they look at their pictures, and instantly they pull back, right? It just indicates that the pain is stored, and the pain is still there. The pain can be recalled. However, there's another mechanism where the pain is seemingly not recalled, but is enforced. So I'm going to read you something from this chapter on raising our level of consciousness. So, what is pain? Pain is the warning of loss. It's an automatic alarm system built into life organisms. Okay, so pain is the warning of loss. It's an automatic alarm system built into life organisms. So there's a key word here, which is automatic. And it's an alarm system and a warning of loss. Okay, so let's see how that turns out. We got this guy here, and he's about to do a lecture in front of a group of people. So all these people are sitting here in chairs, and he just glances at his group. And what do you know? The pain kicks in. Well, we would say the stress kicks in, right? Just like when you go to see a dentist or a doctor, it just dominates your body. And he may have this while being in front of a group of people, and for some reason that stress kicks in, which is basically the manifestation of an earlier recording of pain now being confused with a current scenery. So, what else is there? So pain is the warning of a loss. It's an automatic alarm system built into life organism. And now you say, yeah, but Erik, your example, it doesn't make any sense at all. I cannot see any match here. This is nonsense. It could never work that way. Yes, you're absolutely right. Because there's something with pain that makes thought very, very irrational. So there's a whole book written on the subject, but this subject here on raising your level of consciousness actually gives you quite a bit of data on how the mind works. So what happens is that when pain is received in small doses over a lifetime, it gradually suppresses the organism towards death. So let's say we receive some pain there, and we lose some vitality. And we continue, we receive some more pain, and we lose some vitality. And we receive some more pain, and we lose some vitality. And on it goes in life. So, that person, over time, is losing a lot of vitality. So pain, in small doses, over a lifetime, gradually suppresses the organism towards death. So accumulated pain in the mind, the more pain and loss you have, the more it pushes a person down to death. Now, pain in one great sweeping shock brings about immediate death. Well, that seems obvious, right? Okay, now, what is the main discovery here? The discovery was that this pain could be nullified, which means to reduce to null or to zero. It was a discovery that this pain could be nullified or erased with the return of full consciousness and rehabilitation toward survival. In other words, a person, when he has reached that low level of surviving, he could actually move all the way up again. You could say, here's like a coil that has vitality. You can press it down, it can rebound. It has been pressed and pressed and pressed up to a point where it can no longer rebound. But it is to say, according to the book, that there was a discovery that all the pain could be taken away, could be nullified, and the full consciousness, vitality would return in the individual. And it says further, accumulated physical pain and loss bring about a reduction of consciousness, a reduction of physical health, and a reduction of the will to live, to a point where the organism actively, if often slyly, seeks death. So, accumulated pain and loss bring about a reduction of consciousness, a reduction of physical health, and a reduction of the will to live. Erase or nullify the physical pain and the losses of a lifetime, and the vitality returns. The last sentence in the chapter is, and it can now be done. And actually, I'm talking from experience. That is actually very, very, very true. It can now be done. Okay, so what that means is that, as we did with that little mind drill, you have your pictures. Some of those pictures contain pain. It can go back to the early years. It can go back even to birth, because birth itself is quite a painful moment. And you may have had traumatic incidents. You know, maybe you fell or you hurt yourself or you had operations, stuff like that. Losses, they all accumulate. Take away that pain. And you take away the stress. You take away the type of control that you don't want, which is the nervousness, the dry throat, your body shaking, and so on. And you will see your sanity will go up. Obviously, that will have a tremendous impact on your confidence. All right? There's much more in the book itself, but I just wanted to give you a snippet tonight, not a full-blown explanation. You may have liked that idea already, so you have a little bit of an idea how the mind works. We're going to go to the next subject. So let's imagine I'm going to do a very bad drawing of you. You see, no hair. Voila, that's you. Now let's imagine that you're walking over to the mailbox. And like I just said, we're introducing a new subject. So we're going to leave the mind behind. We're actually going to go to a whole new chapter of the book. And that is a chapter of social, antisocial people. So before we kick off, let's imagine there's you. You walk over to your mailbox and you get some envelopes and you get very, very positive news. Good. Okay. So it's a very easy question, but I'm curious if you can answer the question. And that question is, what effect does that have on your emotions? So you're walking over to the mailbox, pop it in the chat. You're walking over to the mailbox, you pick up your mail, and you see very positive news. So what will happen to your emotions? Okay, so Esther, thank you. Anxiety, I think that's your last answer. Good all day, I'll feel happy, all right? Yeah. Well, I guess that answers it, right? Okay, so you get some very good news, you get some positive news. Okay, well, you cheer up, right? So your emotion is up. It lifts you up. Yeah, you're happy. Exactly. All right, now, let's imagine a few days later, you go back to that mailbox and you get the mail, you open your mail. It turns out to be very negative news. Good. Now, too simple a question. So what's going to happen to your emotions now? What happens when you get bad news? Pop it in the chat. Okay, eat it. You're going to be sad. All right, upset. I totally get that, Cassie. All right, anybody else? What's going to happen? Yeah, unhappy, upset, depressed, frustrated, blow, defeated. Okay, negative news, disappointment. All right, gotta cry. I'm confused. Yes. Absolutely, you're gonna get an emotion you probably don't want, right? Remember that picture here before? Something there controlled you. It was something that you didn't really want, right? Here's again, something you don't really want to happen. Okay, so what is it now that's going to happen to you? Your emotions are going down. Okay, I just have a pop-up on the screen. Good. So your emotions are going down. Okay, well, fairly simple, right? But there's a kind of like there's a pattern here. Now imagine you have two types of friends. You got Willie here. And Willie is always in good moods. He makes you a lot of compliments. He's always there to support you. He thinks you totally merit a good life. Whenever you have a request, a question, whenever you're dealing with something, Willie's there for you. He's one of your good friends, right? So Willie is the type of person that would lift you up, all right? Now here we got Joe. Joe's a bit of a gossiper. You know, he likes to pass on the latest gossip. He's a bit of a rumor line type of person. He'd never make you any compliment. When when you make a move in your career, or when things are going really well, he seems to be happy for you, but you don't really get that vibe. Similarly to Willie, and he's not always very, very supportive. He's more the kind of guy that, well, let's skip the cinema this weekend. Let's smoke a joint instead. And maybe he's just passing on the latest bad news. So what happens if you deal with Joe, and what happens if you deal with Willie in life? Well, so Willie is going to lift you up, where Joe is going to put you down, or kind of like pull you down. So now you see a pattern here, right? There is a pattern. We have something that's called ups and downs. Positive news up, negative news down. Positive people in your vicinity, in your environment, up. Negative people down. So we get ups and downs. Another person, another profession might call it bipolar. It might be called mood swings, right? But it's really, who are you dealing with? Okay? Now, there's something not so cool about this. And my first question to you guys is, who has actually observed this in his life or in the life of somebody else? Just pop it in the chat. Who has observed that specific phenomena in a person? The person was doing well one moment, and the next moment just crashed. And then tried to climb up again and crashed. Who has seen that happening? Okay. All right, Catriona, thank you for that. Okay, Case, thank you for that. All right, Victor, seen it in others. Okay, happens to me frequently. All right, sorry to hear that. Okay, guys, well, if you have a good look at that curve, okay, Esther, team members, well, that's something to handle. Thank you, by the way. If you would look at that curve, it's not really that these curves are almost of the same distance. What you'll find out often is that the going down curve usually is way longer than the going up curve. You see that? So what's the real problem here? The real problem is that this curve here, it just defeats all your dreams, all your goals, all your illusions. So when you're down there, it's like you've lost your vitality. You've lost your confidence. You've lost your true you could say. You come up for a moment again, you might be bright, you might feel better, but then boom, you're gonna get the next hit. And there's something that a social person deserves more to know about. And I'm going to take you to the book again. There's a chapter called The Antisocial Personality. I'm going to read you a couple of lines, yeah? So there's certain characteristics and mental attitudes which cause about 20% of a race to oppose violently any betterment activity or group. Such people are known to have antisocial tendencies. When the legal structure or political structure of a country becomes such as to favor such personalities in positions of trust, then all the civilizing organizations of the country become suppressed, and a barbarism of criminality and economic duress ensues. crime and criminal acts are perpetrated by the antisocial personalities. Inmates of institutions commonly trace their state back to contact with such personalities. There's more to it, but I'm going to skip a portion. As they only comprise 20% of the population, and as only 2.5% of these 20 are truly dangerous, we see that with a very small amount of effort, we could considerably better the state of society. Now, probably when I mentioned that 20%, that 2.5%, yeah, it's a fraction of the population. And you would say, well, you know, Al Capone, that was definitely one. And that guy in Colombia, this big billionaire drug dealer, that was definitely one. And Hitler, that was definitely one, right? And maybe you could find a few more names, you know, people who are quite known for their destructive acts. Now, the point is this: with such a cast of characters in history, we neglect the less stellar examples and do not perceive that such personalities exist in current life, very common, often undetected. When we trace the cause of a failing business, we will inevitably discover somewhere in its ranks the antisocial personality hard at work. Okay, Esther, does that ring a bell? When we trace the cause of a failing business, we will inevitably discover somewhere in its ranks the antisocial personality hard at work. Where life has become rough and is failing, a careful review of the area by a trained observer will detect one or more such personalities at work. So it's important to examine and list the attributes of the antisocial personality. So the book actually will give you 12 distinct attributes that you can recognize an antisocial personality by. There's 12 distinct ones, and if you could find the majority of those 12, you can be pretty certain you're dealing with an antisocial personality. Now, that is a person who overtly or covertly destroys or will try to destroy. So I'm just going to give you one here, which is attribute number 2. Such a person deals mainly in bad news, in critical or hostile remarks, in invalidation, and general suppression. Gossip, harbinger of evil tidings, or rumor monger once described such persons. It's notable that there is no good news or complimentary remark passed on by such a person. Number 5, surrounding such a personality, we find cowed or ill associates or friends who, when not driven actually insane, or yet behaving in a crippled manner in life, failing, not succeeding. Such people make trouble for others. Okay, and there's even a basic reason why the person behaves the way he or she does. The mistake here is that it has such an impact on you, it has such an impact on your confidence, because they come up with the most beautiful reasoning why they act the way they do. And you go like, figure, well, then there must be something wrong with me then. I guess he probably has a point, yeah? I do make mistakes, and so on, right? In the future, there's going to be a webinar on the narcissistic personality, the true vampire. But basically, you're going to have all the information already in the book in advance. So yeah, Esther, why? I'm not sure if that is back to my question, but if you're dealing with team members and team members are giving you a hard time, then there's 2 things that could be happening. Either your team member is a Joe type, which is basically trying to sabotage and doing a whole lot of bad stuff, or your team member is somebody who is connected to a Joe type and who's constantly in trouble in life, right? So you'll find more about that book. You find more about it in the book. But actually, by the end of the evening, by the end of the webinar, I'm going to give you a full solution on how to handle that. We have 15 minutes more to go. I'm going to go to another chapter in the book, and that has to do with honesty. So I hope you're getting something out of this, you know, how situations like this actually temper with your confidence, just like negative thoughts. So, final chapter. I'm going to take one more chapter from the book. And let me see. For the people who attended last week's webinar, I was talking about how to make good choices. This is basically a little bit of a sequel to that. So let's start with an example. So let's say we got Joe here. And we got Marie over there. Now, what is special about this drawing? Well, it happens to be late in the evening or past midnight. Let's say it's 2 a.m. and Joe meets Marie in the bar. However, Joe was going on an outing with his friends, you know, and just have a good evening, have some fun, you know, do some talks. But what happened? At some point, Marie walks in the bar, and Joe realizes, gosh, that's the lady that I had a crush on when I was in high school. And he never really could forget about her, right? The only problem here is that Joe is wearing a wedding ring. So, but they meet each other and they talk and they have a very, very cozy time. And basically, Joe had made an appointment with his wife that he was going to go home not too late. He was supposed to be back home, like he thought, before 2 o'clock. And here it is, 2 o'clock in the evening, and Joe is still at the bar, and he's having a very, very cozy time with the lady he had a crush on. All right, so at 3 o'clock, he drives home, and 3:30 in the morning, he arrives. And there's his wife. And she's already tucked in here in bed, right? So Joe thinks, well, you know, I might just sneak in with her. I hope she doesn't notice. So his wife is still awake, and she said, "Hey, Joe, how come you're so late? I thought you were going to be back before 2, right?" So what is happening right now? Well, as we have seen in that earlier situation, we make pictures, right? So his wife just triggered all these pictures again. The pictures of him with Marie. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question now. What is Joe's first impulse here? What is his first impulse? Does he want to communicate more with Marie, or does he want to communicate less with Marie? Just pop it in the chat. What is going to happen? Does he want to communicate at that point less, or does he want to communicate more to his wife? Okay, let's see what we have. Les, Cassie, Victor, Case. All right, he's lying. Well, we're not sure yet if he's lying, but all right, there's something going on, that's for sure. Let's see what else. Okay, Edith says more. All right, well, hats off to you, Edith. You must be a fantastic person to be with. However, in general, most people will probably agree that the first impulse is that he does not want to harm his wife. He does not want to hurt her feelings. So his first impulse is going to communicate less. And he might be very gentle with her, and he might say, well, honey, you know, it's already very late. I had a very good time. Why don't we just go to sleep? Yeah, that's probably the best solution right now. We both have to work tomorrow. Well, kiss, kiss, good night. Okay, well, there's another scenery where Joe and his wife, they're together. Another moment. And his wife says, Joe, my friend saw you at the bar. And Joe is, oh my God. Does she know? What does she know? So he's panicking, right? All his pictures are completely reactivated. And still, of course, he doesn't want her to know, right? And he was already from 2 days ago, he was already communicating less to her. Now she says, my best friend saw you at the bar. Okay, so what is the next thing? Right now, is he going to communicate more to her, or is he going to communicate even less to her? What do you guys think? It's still less, yeah? All right. Okay, good. So it's still less. So what is the fun fact? You know, Joe is basically good. He is holding himself down. He is communicating less in order to not hurt his wife, in order to not give her a bad feeling. However, the trouble here is that he is doing himself in. He is sitting on a secret, and that secret makes him to communicate less. Now, let's say before he could reach out to his wife, and he could get close to her, and he could give her a hug, and he could really reach. And now he's keeping himself at a distance. And every time these pictures get reactivated, he takes a little bit more distance. Okay? So effectively, he's not only reducing his communication, he's effectively reducing his power. Okay? So let's say we'll take another example, because it doesn't have to be as dramatic as the sketch here. Okay, well, let's say you're showing up late for work. Okay, and you don't want your superior to know, right? You kind of like, you may have been in that situation where you kind of like sneak in from the back door, kind of like, find your place. But you can see that there's something there that you're sitting on, and it makes you communicate less. Well, let's say you're not doing your job as professional as you could be doing. Yeah. Even that, you don't like to share that with another and say, hey, I got to talk about this. Yeah. Well, let's say you break something, you damage something, right? So now we're sitting on that stuff. And so we accumulate more and more potential pain and potential loss in the mind. It just all accumulates. And that tempers tremendously with your own confidence. All right? Good. Now, I see that it's almost 9 o'clock. We're pretty much done. I hope that you liked this webinar. We're going to be ending off here. So I have something really special for you tonight. And like I said, that book here, it will give you 15 different chapters to handle your life. So we go to school and you get a toolbox to become an accountant, or to become a carpenter, to become a plumber, to become an engineer, to become a doctor, whatever, right? But you get the toolbox. However, that toolbox is just for your work alone. Nobody in school ever told you how to handle your ups and downs, how to improve relationships, how to improve your communication skills, how to make good decisions, how to get you out of this soup. Because I can tell you, there is tools to get you out of the soup. It doesn't really require of you to be really dramatic and go to your wife and say, hey, you know what? I just kissed my old friend from 10 years ago. It doesn't require that. There is a technology that you can do to restore your vitality and your confidence. So that book's going to give you 15 different tools, ranging from relationships to communication, to good choices, to handling ups and downs, to knowing who you can trust, even finding your goal in life. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I just gave you snippets tonight. Now, the book is 17 euros, and I'll just hold my thumb there so you have a bit of an idea. A little bit thicker than your thumb. So the book is 17 euros, includes shipping. And as you can see, it actually pops up on the screen. Now, what we're going to do tonight is that I personally wanted you guys to have another book that comes with it, which is called The Cause of Suppression. Here you find additional tools on how to handle the narcissist, the vampire personality, the people who pull you down in life. So you're going to get the tools to properly detect them and handle them accordingly. So you will actually get rid of those ups and downs, and you start working towards achieving your dreams and your goals, and be truly confident. It's a major factor, is one of the major factors that have to be handled first before actually a person can really start to do well in life. That's something key to spot. Good, so the link has just been put in. My colleague Sylvia just put the link there for you. If you go ahead and click on the link, within the next 30 minutes up till 9:30, you're going to get both. You're going to get the two books. One is basically a booklet, and the other one is a book, including free shipping. You probably get it in your own language, like it was mentioned, 17 different languages. And well, yeah, that was my final message for you tonight. I'm going to be lingering around. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in a chat. If you want to know something specific, if you have a specific question for me, pop them in the chat. This is the question and answer time. The other thing that I wanted to get across to you is that maybe Sylvia can put my telephone number in. It's my WhatsApp number. In case you have any personal questions for me, say, hey, Erik, I'm dealing with this. I'm running into that. Could you give me some personal advice? I'll be very happy to do so. We can even have a chat. We're not talking about money here. This is something I do as a volunteer because I love that kind of stuff. Yeah. And maybe you can take a whole different approach and say, well, I don't want to book for me, but I want to help my friend. I think my friend actually needs this. Yeah. A lot of people like to help their friends way better than thinking with the concept of, oh, I need help. Yeah. Well, maybe you're the kind of person that likes to help others. You'll find that book and that tool. You'll find that very, very handy to have. Very practical and solution oriented. Okay, let's see, guys. I'm rattling. Let's see. Okay, all right, Catriona. So you just purchased the book. That is amazing. Right, all right. Esther is streaming the webinar, putting the link for the book on your page. Fantastic. Okay. Let me see what else. What else do we have? Any questions, guys? Any question, guys? Okay, thank you for the very useful information. Okay, good. Now, so just a little teaser here, right? Have you ever had the idea that you could be more, that you could do more, that you could achieve more, that you had more potential in you? Have you ever had that idea? You somehow have much more potential. And that something was holding you back. Yeah, you've had that, right? Exactly. Okay. Now I can tell you, you do. You have a whole lot more potential than anybody wants you to believe. I can tell you there's no limit to what you can do. But at the same time, there's something that's holding you back, right? That's something that puts that comfort zone there. And you want to break through, you want to break out, you want to expand on that comfort zone and, do more, achieve more, be happier, all these things. Okay, so here with that book, I can guarantee you, you're going to find answers what it is exactly that is holding you back, and how to go forward, how to go towards your full potential. Yeah, the technology is actually there nowadays. Okay, Edith says, you purchased it. Wow, well, I'm so happy, Edith. We should definitely have a talk together and chat and exchange information. Another beautiful thing, guys, is that I kind of like overlooked. However, what I could throw in extra is that some of these chapters are actually on film as well. And so for the people who feel like, okay, well, I do need to have this tonight, what I could do is I could throw in as a bonus that you're going to get some films on that too. So, for example, on the antisocial personality, let's imagine you have the whole thing on film, right? And you see the whole thing play out just in front of you. And you're like, wow, next time I got you spotted, pal, right? Okay, now, let's see, 5 minutes passed. Let's see if there's anything else coming in. Right, okay. More questions, guys. I don't mind to stay another 5 minutes. That is totally cool. Just bombard me with a question. That's fine. Or with many questions. Go ahead. Put something in the chat. All right. So okay, guys. So I think we can end up here then. You can browse through the chat once again. My WhatsApp number is in there. Esther, nice to see you. I see you on camera. Very cool. Hello. Edith, fantastic. I see you on camera. Good to see you. That's great. We should talk. You have my you have my WhatsApp, so send me a text. We should definitely talk. I love to make friends. I trust me. I rather have 1 million friends than €1 million in the bank account. It's way better to have good friends, right? So I'm very happy to have met you guys. So my number, like I just said, my WhatsApp number is in the chat. It's an Irish number, so you have to add 353. Okay. All right, guys. I think we're gonna end up here. Thank you very much. Stay tuned on Eventbrite. You can see the upcoming titles. So I hope to be a very good source of information for you this year. I definitely like and I love to share data with you. It's all free stuff, guys. It's something that we can all use in life. So I look forward to see you again. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you very much. And next time, see you next week.